Good morning, XRP Army. If you are joining the replay of this stream, go ahead and skip ahead to the 4-minute mark. That is when the show will get started. I have some breaking news on the reverse carry trade with Japan. Again, I'm going to give time for the stream to get buffered and started, allow people time to come in. I'm going to start about the 4-minute mark. So again, if you want to skip ahead to that point, go ahead. But again, I do have some breaking news about the reverse carry trade that we will be getting into. So again, I'm going to give it time for everyone to hop into the stream. It's kind of an emergency thing, so I don't really have a schedule here, so I have to allow notifications and everything for people to get in here. I want to make sure I give people all of the information, and hopefully we can get a chat going with it. So moving on, we are currently at just the 1-minute mark, so I can give it 3 more minutes, allow for people to hop in. No one's hopped in the chat yet. Again, if you are new to my streams, typically I cover the price action, the ETF news, the updated news, and then breaking news I usually cover first. It is very, very important and crucial that you engage in the chat. I will answer any and all questions. So what I do is I will hop on here. I'll cover all the information first, and then I will go back through the chat. Again, still waiting for some people to come in. We are about 1.5 minutes way in, so if you don't want to wait, you can skip ahead to the 4-minute mark. And again, just allowing people to come into the stream as I just got some crucial information. So I did my stream this morning like I usually do about the Bitcoin drop, and while I was researching for shorts and stuff for tomorrow, I came across a bit of really important information that has to do with today's Bitcoin drop. So I will be sure to cover all of that. Welcome, David. Thank you for letting me know you are here. If you could, let me know how many people are in the stream. Not a lot of people are talking this morning. Good morning, XRP to the moon before the end of the year 2025. I really, really hope so. Welcome, Lisa Cotton Candy. Welcome, Tina. David is here. Still. What's still? Hopefully not the screen is still. Let's see here. Oh, you're here still from the morning one. Welcome back, race fan. Yeah, again, we got 9 in here. I'm going to start it at the 4-minute mark. I'm going to give people time to get in. If you were in my stream this morning and you see another stream here, I told you I was going to do some poking and some digging and update news with shorts as I go through the day. But I found a piece of critical information that I think is very, very important. And I'm going to cover that with you. It was too much for a short, and it's something we've been talking about for a very, very long time in regards to the reverse carry trade. So we will discuss that here momentarily at the 4-minute mark. I'm going to run a whole new stream for you because I do believe that I was talking about the Bitcoin leverage, but I do believe I found the real key as to why the market is dropping. And I think we might have some reverse carry trade issues happening right now. And I will cover all of that, and I'll show you the details. We're at 3 minutes and 20 seconds, so I'm going to give it another 30 seconds. And if you were part of the stream this morning, I figured out why the stream dropped. So we have snow and ice here today, and I thought they may have been doing some work in my neighborhood. Turns out my daughter is home because of the snow and ice. Well, she decided that she was going to do a FaceTime call with her boyfriend while playing Xbox and streaming on her laptop. So really, because she was home, she decided to dominate the internet, and for a second there, it caused my stream to drop when she went online. So that's what happened this morning. So apologies for that. All right, so currently at 4 minutes. All right, I will get started. So here we go. Good morning, XRP Army. As always, if it's your first time here, sit back, relax. I'm not going to ask you to do anything, but if it's your second time, make sure you hit subscribe, smash the like button, and engage in the chat. The chat is the lifeblood of the stream. So the way I work my streams is I come on here, I do the price action, I let you know what's going on with the price, and then we jump into the news so we can cover what's actually happening with the price and develop our own thoughts, theses, and ideas based on the facts, figures, and knowledge logic. All right, we're looking for real things. So if you're a part of stream this morning, I already covered the ETF inflows. I already had a pullback this morning of XRP. Dramatic pullback. And it wasn't just XRP, it was everything. So if we pull up Bitcoin, Hold up Bitcoin. If you've been a member of my streams for a long time, I have ad nauseum brought up my fear, theory, and worry of a Bitcoin bubble based on the volume of Bitcoin over time. So if we look at the volume of Bitcoin over time and you put this line here, it's pretty clear as day. You can see the massive amount of volume at the beginning inception of Bitcoin and the decline as it has gone through. The last real volume we had on Bitcoin here was back in March of 2022. And then you can see we hit a bottom here of 16,000 and it ran all the way up to the new all-time highs with zero volume under here. Well, I mean, not zero, there's obviously volume, but the volume compared to what it was previously, that makes me fearful that this is all hollow and this can fall very, very fast with no real volume here to catch it. That's my fear of Bitcoin, okay? So that being said, if we go back to the not all time, if we just go back to the 1 day chart, 1 day, 5 minute, you can see that Bitcoin had a massive sell-off right here. And this was starting yesterday at 6 p.m. So if we look at that, what happened yesterday at 6 p.m.? I have talked about the reverse carry trade, and many people have talked about the reverse carry trade ad nauseum. What is the reverse carry trade? For those of you who don't know, basically for the longest time, Japan's economy was doing terribly. So what happens when you have a terrible economy? You turn on the printer, right? Free money, cheap money. They were running 0% interest for over a decade. So what people were doing, large companies, businesses, even governments, were going and taking out loans in Japan with the yen, taking that, transferring it to dollars or euros or whatever they want to invest in, and they invest it into the stock market and gain a return. So they're taking free money from Japan, switching it into whatever they want, and then they're deploying it in the stock market and other areas to gain money from it. This is the carry trade. The reverse carry trade is what happens when those loans aren't cheap anymore. So when those loans aren't cheap anymore, people have to pay off those loans, right? That 0% interest isn't 0% anymore. So you have Japan announcing now that they are hawkish and they're going to be increasing rates. I touched on this in October, and that's when we started having a slide. And then it really came to a head last night. And this is as clear as day for you. It's a very simple chart. This is the dollar to yen chart. You can see here what happened in the last 5 days, and then last night, what happened? A sharp decline in the dollar versus yen. So we went from 100. What was this? This was 156 yen per dollar to 154 yen per dollar in a matter of 3 hours. If you take a look at the chart, it coordinates at the same time. Okay. So why did this happen? Well, yen rises as the Bank of Japan hints at a rate hike. Dollar braces for crucial December. The yen rose on Monday, boosted by Bank of Japan Governor Ueda, who we reported on back in December, saying they were going to hike, or not back in December, back in October. I'll go find the video if I have to. I reported back at the end of October that they said they were going to hike in December, okay? Who suggested December rate hike may be on the table while the dollar struggled as investors ramped up bets of the U.S. rate cut this month. So Japan's going to be hiking and we're going to be cutting. This is the thing we've been talking about that could set up the reverse carry trade, and you're seeing it play out in the market right now. Not me. Charts, figures, knowledge, okay? You can see it clear as day when we pull up this chart, okay? Yen's getting stronger. Bitcoin's going down. That is the only thing. Google everything else and try to figure out. They're talking about leverage. They're talking about the overall sentiment of crypto. This is the only direct correlation that it has to do directly with that drop right now that you can see clear as day. My opinion, not financial advice. Now, there's another key piece to this that's really interesting. I touched on this morning in the chat or in the live stream, but I think it plays a bigger piece now that we know what's happening with the reverse carry trade. So NASDAQ Crypto Chief will move as fast as we can to tokenize stocks. There has been an increase from 200 to 500 million tokenized stocks on Robinhood since July. That's a 150% increase in 6 months, all right? We have the chief of NASDAQ saying they're working as fast as possible to tokenize these stocks. All right, Larry Fink's been talking about tokenization, and all the while behind the scenes, I touched on it back in October that Japan was going to hike rates, and we've been looking at cutting. We have Donald Trump announcing his new Fed chair today. We also had Donald Trump yesterday saying that he thinks we should cut 3 to 4% and get down to 1% inflation. All of these things are sparking serious fear of the reverse carry trade. Can you imagine if Donald Trump got his way and we dropped to 3 or 4% while Japan is hiking? Imagine what that would do to this chart that we've been looking at. Imagine if we got that announcement, okay? Now, a big question I got this morning in the live stream is if I'm expecting Bitcoin to crash and I'm expecting the rest of things to follow it, the rest of crypto to follow it, why am I buying XRP? Again, I've said it 100 times since I've been on here. I am here for the long view of XRP. I'm not here for what XRP is going to be tomorrow or a week from now. I'm here for what XRP is going to be a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. My opinion, not financial advice. I am not one of your quick pump and dump kind of guys. I'm not here spreading hype and noise. I'm trying to give you the facts, figures, and logic of what's actually happening behind the moves and why me personally, I am invested in it and what I see coming. Hopefully you guys can develop your own thesis, do your own research, and form your own opinions. None of it's financial advice. It's just my opinion, and hopefully you find value and appreciate the content. So we covered the weakening of the dollar, is it the weakening of the dollar or the strength? We covered the strengthening of the yen to the weakening of the US dollar, right? Japan hikes, yen gets stronger, we cut, we get weaker. You can see it playing out in the actual stock market with Bitcoin, XRP, as well as the strength index of the dollar to the yen. That is the definition of a reverse carry trade, and you can see it playing out in real time. If this continues, if the yen continues to strengthen, our dollar is going to continue to weaken, and you're going to see it in the stock market. There's a direct correlation. My opinion, not financial advice. So that being said, that is the direct link I can show you for proof that the reverse carry trade is happening. CNBC's reporting on it. We've talked about it ad nauseum, and you can pull up a million different things, but that chart is clear as day as far as what's actually happening. So I'm going to hop into the chat. Again, it was kind of an emergency thing, so I don't have a ton of information, but that direct link I had to share with you. And actually, I'm going to touch base because I was starting to say this and I got distracted when I went back to Bitcoin. So I do have a little bit more information here. I touched on this morning about the 40,000 app set, right? That was happening on. I'm going to retouch on this real quick. NASDAQ is treating approval. Oh, that's the tokenized stocks. That's not the right one. Here it is. Over 40,000 weird XRP transactions appear out of nowhere. What's going on? This happened yesterday, actually, right before this happened. As revealed by prominent XRP ecosystem contributor vet, XRP Ledger recently saw the type of background activity that does not match normal traffic because the spike in account set transactions is too big and too organized to come from random users. These prints suddenly jumped to 20,000 and then the 40,000 range and stayed there, which is kind of pattern you see when someone is preparing a large batch of wallets, running configuration steps, and testing permissions before plugging in real liquidity. This happened, and then hours later, this happened. Not financial advice, connect the dots. Putting it there for you. This, then that. This, then that. Okay, this happened, right? Yen versus dollar. This happened. It's exactly what we've been talking about could happen with the reverse carry trade, everybody. And if this actually is unfolding, I want to take a moment, and then I'm going to get into the chat. I want to take a moment and point this out to you guys. If the reverse carry trade does unfold, like Jake Claver was thinking it would, this is going to be massively painful for the entire U.S. economy. If Jake Claver is correct and it transitions into XRP, it's going to be great for us as XRP holders, okay? But there are going to be a lot of people in significant pain. because remember, this is just if the reverse carry trade really is unwinding, that was a $2 drop. Okay. Imagine if we have a 7 or 8 or a $10 drop in the price as far as yen versus the dollar. What's that going to do to the stock market? This is why we're fearful of it. Now, if they have to move into XRP to handle that bridge liquidity, which makes sense on why they're trying to tokenize stocks so fast and why they're doing these account sets behind the scenes, there's a lot of structural things happening while this is happening. And that's raising an eyebrow to me. Something I'm going to keep an eye on. It seems very coordinated to be nothing. My opinion, not financial advice. So I'm going to go through the chat and hopefully you guys have your thoughts and opinions and we can continue this discussion of the reverse carry trade, because this is something that's been discussed for months and months and months and months. And we are seeing real proof and evidence that it's actually unfolding. So David says he's here. Tina said good morning. She thinks that XRP is going to moon before the end of the year. Lisa Cotton Candy is here. Race fans here. Let's see. David M says you build it and they will come. Again, I appreciate everyone for being here. The channel has been growing great, and I honestly never expected I would be able to actually come on here and present you guys with macroeconomic news and theses and all of those things and how everything plays together, because everyone comes in, win moon, win moon, win moon. Everyone wants to know about XRP price. So it's very humbling, and I'm very happy that you guys are actually here for the information and not the price. I still get the price comments all the time, but I'm glad it's resonating with you all. I appreciate every single one of you. Let's see here. Sound and screen, 5x5. Thank you, ex-military. 5x5 means loud and clear. Means 5 out of 5 on a scale of 1 to 5. For those of you who don't know, I worked in radio, so 5x5 is second language to me when I was in the military. Lisa Cotton Candy says reverse carry trade info. Let's go. Yeah, reverse carry trade info for sure. She says she's ready to engage. Tina says BTC may go to 59,000. My personal opinion on Bitcoin, I mean, who knows where it's really going to go? I'm just a guy doing research here. But if we want to pull up Bitcoin and how low it can go based off my theory of the volume bubble, okay? My theory of the volume bubble with Bitcoin, there was no real volume in Bitcoin till it was sitting around 26,000 was the last time there was any real volume in Bitcoin. It was about the 26,000 to 18,000 range. So if this bubble were to pop based on my analysis, it would open up Bitcoin to fall all the way down to the teens again. I hope I'm wrong, because that would be significant pain for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't really quite understand too. You have these treasury companies, not just, micro strategies, but there's a lot of companies and governments that started holding Bitcoin on their balance sheets. Okay. So if Bitcoin does have a massive crash like that, it's going to continue into the stock market, because of all of these companies that now hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets are going to have to take that loss as well. They're going to have to report that negative equity. And I mean, so you can see how a lot of this can snowball. The reverse carry trade is a very, very scary proposition for the entire market. And not even just for our entire market, for the global market in essence. I'm still confused about the reverse carry trade and how this comes together. I think it has to penetrate more. I agree. This is the beginning stages of the reverse carry trade. This is an indicator. This is all this is, Lisa. And I wanted to I thought it was very, very crucial to point out, because we've talked about the reverse carry trade so much and a lot of people still don't fully understand. But we have a real indicator of what's happening with it. And I wanted to mainly show that to you. It's something you guys can track yourself. You can go to the US dollar to yen ratio, just Google it, and you can see. And as this weakens, right? So as this goes down, right? This is the dollar strength to the yen. So this will go down as the yen strengthens and as the dollar weakens. As this goes down, you'll see Bitcoin go down, and as this goes up, you'll see Bitcoin go up. That is how it's going to look. And if you really want to take it a step further, if you say we move this out to a year, right? You can see in the last year, we had a massive decline in April. When did we have massive decline? right? We haven't had lows since April. And then the dollar has been strengthening the entire year, and we're just now starting to see a decline here as of the 20th of November. It has been starting to decline. And if you look at the last 5 days, there has been a sharp decline. So you can kind of track the strength of the yen with our stock market. It is very, very important. And as you can see, it's been going back up. And if we look at today's Bitcoin price, we'll just go to the 1 day. As that yen is going back up, you can see today's Bitcoin price is going back up. There is a direct correlation. And I wanted to show that to you guys because it is very important and it's something you can track, and I will be tracking moving forward in regards to the reverse carry trade. So yes, I agree. It's going to have to penetrate more, Lisa. This is already recovering. We're watching it happen here on the screen. If we pull up XRP, you can see it's already recovering as well. We're at $2 and $2.5. So, but it is going as the yen goes. It's a pretty clear correlation. And I thought that was very important to share with you guys. I haven't seen anything else that can strongly identify the carry trade to cryptocurrency. And that's the best thing I have found. And I really wanted to share it with you guys. So moving back into the questions, hopefully that cleared it up for you, Lisa, as far as the penetration. I think we're going to need to see that deteriorate more, which again would be more pain in the markets temporarily. Your thoughts on XLM and HBAR? I too think those are going to be very useful. I've said that I think that ultimately with cryptocurrency, there's going to be a basket of winners, a lot like the .com boom. I can't talk today. A lot like the .com boom that happened in the early 2000s when you had Amazon, Google, Microsoft. You know, you had a handful of these internet companies, eBay, right? Handful of these internet companies that were a part of the boom, and when the bubble popped, only a few remained, and they were all taking massive hits during that bubble pop. Remember, Amazon lost 90% of its value at one point when every single metric was improving. I honestly correlate Amazon to XRP a lot, because when I look at XRP and I look at the transactions and I look at the account sets and I look at the reverse carry trade and I look at all these things with XRP and Ripple's acquisitions and its bank partnerships, there's nothing but all this positive news all year long while the entire crypto market is dropping. That's why I correlate it and I have identified it with Amazon, because it reminds me of that well, because it's just following the overall crypto market. And I truly believe that the speculation era of XRP is over. It's moving into the adoption phase, but it's still attached to these cryptocurrency speculative, right? And it's going to follow it until we have real utility turn on, which I think we're waiting for clarity in order to do that. My opinion, not financial advice. Lisa Cotton Candy says she's ready to gauge. She's still confused. Hopefully I answered that. XLM and HBAR, again, I believe those are going to be a handful of the assets that are going to rise to the top during the bubble pop, because I do think we're still going to have a crypto bubble pop as well. There's going to be a lot of cryptos that go to the wayside when all of this comes to fruition, and the ones that are going to remain are the ones I think that offer real utility and use case, like your ISO 20022 tokens, like, you know, basically looking at the partnerships and things like that, like Ondo's partnered with BlackRock, right? So you want to look at real world utility. In my opinion, not financial advice. I want to look at real world utility, and that's what I'm focusing on. And to me, the thing with the most real world utility, adoption, and backing, sorry, someone dropped something upstairs. But the thing with the most real world utility and backing is XRP, which is why I believe in it. And I even did a short video recently, yesterday, about the risk of XRP, which got a lot of traction, and correlating the fact that XRP is not Ripple and Ripple is not XRP, and it needs to be this way because otherwise XRP would be a security of Ripple, which we don't want. So hopefully that shines some light on my theory of cryptocurrency and my opinion of cryptocurrency as we move forward. I think there's going to be a handful of winners, and I think that's going to be based on adoption and use case So that's what I'm focusing on, things that have real use in the world. This is the only time I can interact. I don't leave any comments on videos. That is thanks for scanning. That is thanks to the scamming bots. Yeah, I agree with you, Race Fan. I'm pretty good at getting in. They've been posting up a lot of comments and stuff like that on my stuff. I've been pretty good at getting in there and removing them when I see them. But hopefully, I mean, there's nothing I can really do about that. I don't have at the point now where I have a moderator who stays on top of that stuff and removes it exactly as it pops up. But I'm doing pretty good at keeping the scam stuff out of there. And again, I don't know if it's popped up. Actually, it has popped up. Very important. How many people are in the stream? But I want to touch on this. I am one and only Longview Compute. Make sure the spelling is correct. Someone created, there are ghost accounts that are mimicking my name that are commenting on stuff. I will never ask you for anything as far as money or anything like that. So if someone comments and is trying to help you and they have a username that looks like mine, it is not me. All right. Not financial advice, but I mean, that is financial advice. I'm not going to ask you for money. So if there's, just make sure if someone's responding to you in comments or sending you messages with a name that looks like mine, check it. Okay. Because that is happening now. I didn't think I'd have to worry about that. Are there any updates on the 21 shares ETF? Okay. I'll come to that. Sorry, that caught my eye. I will come to that. I got a few others I got to hop to in front of you. When we pulled up the 21 shares ETF this morning, it was not showing live on Robinhood Legends. We had that problem with a previous one before. And I'm checking now. It's still not showing live on Robinhood Legends. Let me Google it real quick, since we're into the portion where we're conversing right now. Because I did see an announcement on X. It was going live. See expands. Yeah, it went live right here. Let me see here. I'm pulling up the article. I'm waiting for it to load. I'll pull it up with you guys. 21 shares XRP ETF launch on CBOE expands U.S. crypto competition. Institutional investors preparing for fresh wave. 21 shares prepares to launch XRP December 1st. So ticker TOXR. So it's saying it's live, but I am not seeing it listed on Robinhood. Let's go in here and see if we have any updates from the terminal. I hate when I do that. I always do that. Don't know why. Terminal. Ticker TOXR is not showing up here on our spot ETFs. And it's just showing TBD. So it was announced it was going live, but no one can find it, not even me. So that's what's going on with 21 shares. Not sure what's going on with it exactly as of yet. And remember, CoinShares pulled their ETFs. So we will not have a CoinShares ETF. But all that being said, so we covered the reverse carry trade. Tried to update on 21 shares. I wish I had an answer. There's nothing online. Others saying it's supposed to be live, but we can't find it on an exchange. I checked X yesterday. There was a tweet from 21 shares saying it was going live. So I'm not sure why we can't find it, to be honest with you. I'll do more digging onto that. But I was more focused on the reverse carry trade as that direct correlation between the price drop and the weakening of the dollar. The weakening of the dollar to the yen. Tina says it's the great wealth transfer soon, forever, or for whoever holds XRP. I hope you're right. I mean, again, I'm not sure. I mean, no one's 100% sure of what's going to happen with XRP, but the evidence is overwhelming, and that's why I'm invested in it. Me personally, not financial advice. When so many dots are laying out there, it's really, really hard to ignore, especially when you look at the 40,000 wallet account set that was set up the day before this happened. I'm like, that's just weird, man. Like that doesn't seem like coincidence. That seems coordinated. XRP will be the new digital money, and the dollar should be back 50% less due to inflation and extra money printing. There is talk, actually, a lot of talk to correlate with your story there, Tina. Trump is saying that he wants a 3 to 4% rate cut, and he also just announced yesterday that he's made a decision on his new Fed chair. So he may get what he wants, and we're talking about Japan hiking in December, which seems to be all but a foregone conclusion at this point. And if they continue hiking and we do a 3 to 4% cut, that's really going to unwind the reverse carrier trade. Think about it. If we pull this back up, hang on, where's that? Did I get rid of it already? I think I did. I think I replaced it with something else. Oh, here it is. No, that's not it. Yen to US dollar. I'll pull it back up. Yen, USD to yen. There it is. I don't even have to type it. So if we pull this back up, last 5 days, this was from talks of a 0.25% hike from Japan and a 0.25% cut from us in December. Can you imagine if we get a new Fed chair and then turn around in the beginning of next year and cut 3% and Japan hikes another quarter? Imagine what that would do to the strength, right? And when this happens, right, again, people have to take money. It forces them to liquidate because they took the free money, the cheap money from Japan, and deployed it in the stock market and other assets to earn a yield. And now that loan is no longer cheap, especially with our markets going down, right? So our markets are crashing and the dollar is weakening compared to the yen. So people are now pulling that money out that they had invested, and they're turning around and paying off those loans because they're no longer cheap anymore, which causes liquidation. This is the reverse carry trade, right? So people borrowed money, inflated it into the market, right? Now they're taking the money back and paying off the yen. That's the reverse of it. And it will be incredibly painful if it continues because it is bad. There we go. That's what I wanted. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you all. Let's see here. Sir Charles finally caught another live stream. Welcome back, Sir Charles. Welcome back. Bill Crawford said, will XRP crash with all the other coins and tokens? At first, yes, it will, Bill. Right now, XRP follows Bitcoin. It's still considered a speculative asset. Until the utility turns on, it is going to follow Bitcoin. My opinion, not financial advice. However, I don't think we're truly going to see a decoupling from Bitcoin without a Bitcoin crash. Like that's what's going to create the opportunity. So in order for us to finally decouple, I do think we are going to see a pullback beforehand. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. This is just all based on what I'm seeing happening. Again, do your own research, consult a financial advisor. I'm not trying to be Chicken Little, but I'm trying to give you guys the real information. And in order for us to get where we want to go with XRP, if we truly think there's going to be a reverse carry trade and money is going to flow into XRP with the decoupling from Bitcoin and all of those things, you remember, in order for a financial reset, there's got to be financial pain. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. I mean, why, if the economy is booming and finance is doing great, why do they need to switch? Right? So we have to connect the dots. And I really, really do believe if we want to get where we want to go with XRP, there's going to be pain involved in the process. So there may be another good buying opportunity. Not financial advice. Let's see here. XRP will be the new digital money and the dollar should be back 50% in extra money printing. Very possibly happen. I just talked about that. Another crash, depressing. A lot of people, Hawaii Rider, I think a lot of people came into this space because of Jake Claver's theory and similar, right? Because a lot of people hopped on that train because it was very, very popular and it was getting a lot of traction. To see something go to $1,000 would take a complete market collapse, a complete economic collapse. And that's why I said, for something like what he wants, something like what he predicted, I want to say what he wants to have happen but for something that he's predicting would be unprecedented. Now, as an XRP holder, if it happens, it's going to be great for me, but I never really thought that could happen. I thought it was interesting that the possibilities were there because of the utility and the use case and how XRP is going to transfer and move value. That because it's a technology and not a stock and not a currency, that we really don't have any true idea of the potential of how high these things can go. I do think $10,000, $100,000 XRP is possible. By the end of the year, I never said that. I thought we could get between $15 and $25 between the end of the year based on supply scenario, because there is a decrease in supply. There's a 29%, almost a third decrease in supply from February to now on available exchanges. And we have constantly looked at the ETFs, everything removing XRP from supply. So that's where I'm gathering. It all paints a picture. You have to look at history, psychology, economics. Like, it's not as easy as just one domino falling. Usually there's, one domino and then there's another domino and there's 4 other ways that domino could fall. You know what I'm saying? So for an order to all fall perfect is very, very difficult. Let's see here. Turple Nurple. Turple Nurple says, no, it's not depressing. It's a Cyber Monday sale. Hawaii Rider says, thank God I bought XRP at 35 cents. It still really sucks seeing it go down. Yeah, I mean, honestly, as XRP holders, it never feels good to watch our bags deflate. We all want to see it rise. We all want to see Jake Claver's predictions come true. That would be fantastic for all of us as XRP holders. But I'm trying to give you my interpretation and my opinion, and I never thought it was going to be $1,000 XRP that quickly. I do think that there is potential for it as utility unlocks, and how quickly that happens is going to be based on macroeconomic factors and macroeconomic finance. And the fact that Ripple has built out the infrastructure to plug into everything, I am very, very high on the utility of XRP. But that being said, there's a lot of things happening right now that we need to be aware of. We've talked about the possible reclassification of DATs that could hurt Bitcoin. We're also talking about the reverse carry trade that we can see hurting Bitcoin. Let's see here. Sorry, I got distracted reading the chat. That's my fault. But we have a direct correlation with the reverse carry trade that we can see affecting Bitcoin. We have real indicators that we can watch and see how things react by percentages even. So a $2 decrease, decrease and the strength of the dollar to the yen caused a 20% dump in XRP. So imagine as we continue to go, it's just some food for thought. Sir Charles says your realistic perspective is refreshing. Thank you. Charles, it was really difficult to get started, and even still now, like even when I make videos just giving news and give my take on it, the only thing I hear about is, well, the price is down, or when's price going to move, or XRP is never going to be $1,000. It's stuff that I never said in the video, which tells me that this space is very, very saturated with what people have said in regards to XRP without even listening to my videos. While they could be watching it and just not even listening to it. They've already had their mind make up. So, that could be kind of frustrating, but I have noticed that the more I calm down and the more I do the research and deliver it clearly to you all, the more the channel is growing. So thank you, Sir Charles. I appreciate it. I appreciate every single one of you who show up in the stream, who like, chat, and share the videos. You're helping the channel grow, and it has grown dramatically. And if you do think that more people need the real deal, right? The real perspective, not the hype train, that's why I'm here. Share it far and wide. Maybe we can create a new narrative for XRP that's based in, because I don't want to, knock on anyone else, but maybe we can create a new perspective of XRP and cryptocurrency that's based in reality and where we can actually be successful moving forward. So I appreciate you, Sir Charles. I really am glad that it's resonating with you and with everyone else. D Money says, how much XRP is enough to be considered rich? Depends on what your definition of rich is, D Money. My personal definition of rich is financial freedom. What is financial freedom? To me, financial freedom means I have a choice if I want to wake up or work or not. I am not relying on a job. I am not relying on someone else. So I either have enough money to sustain the lifestyle I want to live, or I have enough cash flow to sustain the lifestyle that I want to live. To me, that is wealth. That is wealth. When you get to the point in your life where your time is yours again, that is wealth. Regardless of what the number of, what the number is of how much money you hold, or what your living situation is like, how big your house is or how big your cars are. To me, that is wealth. True financial freedom is wealth. When you are no longer relying on a job to hold your lifestyle. My opinion, not financial advice. Versatile says 30 to 50K a month for me is having around 4 or 5K enough for me to live off that. Well, it depends on how high XRP goes. So if you're, I can do quick math for you. If you want, we'll just use 50K because that's easy math. So if you were to make, so you're wanting 50K a month. So you need to be earning 10% a month. So we'll say 12% per year. So in order for you to have 50K per month, you would need to be making 500K per year, or 600K per year, excuse me. So in order to make 600K per year, if you were able to generate 10% off of your holdings, that means you need approximately $6 million, or no, 1%. If you're trying to make that be 600K a year, 10% would be $6 million. So you would need approximately $6 million if you're making a 10% return on your investment. So in order for 5K, that means you would need, in order to have $6 million at 5K, you would need about XRP to be worth 1,250-ish. Just head math, throwing it in there without pulling up a calculator. Again, not financial advice, but if you're planning on, living off 8 to 10%, which is about normal for most people when it comes to investing. 4% is the ultra safe side, but I'm just using even numbers for easy math. But I would say XRP would need to be roughly at $1,250 for 5K XRP to be enough for that. Does that make sense? Versatile Fortnite? And when that price is going to get there, we don't know. I think it definitely has the potential to get there, but I'm not exactly sure when it will get there. And if anyone could tell me how many people we have in the stream, we have reached the bottom of the chat, and I have covered all of the reverse carry trade news. I will recap it before I get out of here for anyone who came in late. Again, I talked to everyone in the chat. There will be more things coming out. I know Sir Charles mentioned that this is the only place he can ask me questions. There will be more things coming in the future. Next month, I will be rolling out memberships, and included with those memberships will be a weekly live stream that is specifically for members, where you will have one-on-one access to me for Q&A. That is one of the things that will be included in that. So hopefully that will help you out, Sir Charles. Any other questions before I get out of here? Hopefully the reverse carry trade information clarified what happened with Bitcoin for you, but that is a direct correlation between what happened and when it happened between the two, right? Okay. So it looks like the chat has died down. We don't have any more people talking. I've covered all of the information. This was an emergency breaking news one anyway, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We still went over 40 minutes. I will be live again tomorrow at 8:30, and I will be posting shorts throughout the day, updating you on any information that comes from 21 shares or the reverse carry trade. So again, make sure you guys are here tomorrow, 8:30, and I'll see you then. Later.